But one of the most horrific things I've ever read in my life involves one of these caves where these civilians are holed up. The Japanese soldiers give them all a bunch of grenades to kill themselves, but there's not enough grenades, and a bunch of the ones they get are duds. So they have to figure out a way, without any weapons, how they're all going to kill each other. And they're all related. These are family members. And just to make matters worse, by the way, as soon as the first grenades do go off and these people start committing suicide, Americans outside the cave think that they're being attacked, so they start shooting into the cave. So the civilians are caught between people blowing themselves up in one part of the cave and Americans shooting into the cave thinking that they're being attacked. The man's name, by the way, is Kinjo, who's having this memory, and he says that between the Americans shooting from one side and people blowing themselves up from the other, he was sort of in a state of shock. But then as his eyes clear, he notices a former official who had picked up a piece of wood and who had started bashing his wife and children with it, saying that the bizarre, suicidal environment in that cave had obviously turned that man into a madman, that he would bash his own wife and children to death with a piece of wood. But then they all realize that they need something, if they don't have a grenade, to kill themselves and their loved ones with. And this is where it gets mind-boggling. I mean, can you imagine having to kill your family members? Can you imagine having to do it by hand? Can you imagine how hard it would be if they just sat there, told you they loved you, and then waited patiently for you to do it? Quoting from the account in Descent into Hell Now, quote, "Those people who had not been able to take their own lives with grenades were worried about being left alive. They had to find other ways to kill themselves, and the former ward chairman's behavior, the guy who bashed his family, had set the example. Some used scythes and razor blades to slash themselves, while others strangled themselves with lengths of rope. As the mayhem unfolded, they found all sorts of ways to kill, including bashing others to death with rocks and sticks. Men bashed their wives, and parents bashed their children. Young people killed the elderly, and the strong killed the weak. What they all felt in common was the belief that they were doing this out of love and compassion." End quote. Then Kinjo and his brother have to do the same thing to their family members. Quote, "Kinjo and his elder brother also had to fulfill their role. Everything that was happening around them made them understand that they had to carry out their duty as well. Kinjo said, quote, 'I think it was our mother we hit first,' end quote. As he and his brother began bashing her in the head, Kinjo screamed out until she became a blur through the tears flowing from his own eyes. For the first time in his life, he wept uncontrollably. Quote, 'I have never wailed like that since,' end quote." The account then says, quote, "The brothers used sticks to rain blow after blow on their mother, watching her from behind as their pounding sent her step by step towards her death is still a vivid image in Kinjo's mind. However, it says he has no recollection of what he did to his sister and brother after that."